What a strange start to the year it's been. Bitcoin is back above 25,000.
Well, there's certainly a lot of optimism in emerging markets where adoption is propagating both of Bitcoin itself and the Lightning Network.
A more optimistic outlook for the cryptocurrencies is propping up the markets. No bad news or bears, leading and lagging indicators show that investors are excessively bullish. As you look at 2023, where do you guys think things are moving this year in the crypto space? To answer all your doubts away, in today's video, Lyn Alden shares her Bitcoin outlook for 2023. She also talks about what's going on in the Lightning Network and Bitcoin adoption. To know more details, stay tuned till the end of the video. And for more videos on economy, crypto, and market trends, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's dive into the video now.
I'm hopeful that some of this, the rate of this happening is behind us, at least in this cycle, because you don't have the Fed, for example, tightening as fast in 2023 as they did in 2022. But some of them are still very much lingering. And Turkey still has runaway inflation. Argentina still has runaway inflation. And even if they partially get them under control, the underlying problems are unfixed. So sometimes it's the local jurisdiction doing something wrong, but then a lot of it goes back to just the way the system's constructed. And Alex Glasson had a really good, yeah, he had like a 20,000 word piece on the IMF and the World Bank and kind of the whole cycle of like, modern day monetary, like neocolonialism that we keep turning the wheels on. So a lot of it is that these core countries are pushing volatility to those periphery countries. And so sometimes you can blame them, sometimes you can blame the developed countries, but either way, a lot of people in these jurisdictions they just get racked with constant inflation, negative real yields, devalued savings, and all sorts of impairments on the ability to be banked and do trade. And when I was looking at this, I was also looking at, so in Egypt, for example, and a lot of these other countries, you get high interest rates, which are still usually below that inflation rate, but you get high interest rates. But if you're unbanked and you just have your physical savings, you don't even get those high interest rates. So if you're
Mm.
getting 20, 30, 40% inflation, and you would be getting 10, 15, 20% yields to at least offset some of that in a bank, you don't even get that. And so it's just dreadful. I think basically like this current period is like a cyclical disinflation, right? So basically we had 2 years of massive stimulus, large money supply growth, and then on lag, we had all the consumer prices growing up very quickly. And then now we have, the Federal Reserve and other central banks coming in trying to tighten that.
The world's largest cryptocurrency reached $25,000 last week, its highest since August 2022. Markets are currently reacting to the Fed meeting in the U.S. amid cooling inflation. Bitcoin prices rose as economic data from around the world drove hopes the economy might face a softer landing than feared a few months ago, even as interest rates threatened to remain higher for longer than expected. Even Lyn Alden has mentioned that tightening is not as hawkish as what we saw in 2022. Investors have a more optimistic outlook for the cryptocurrencies that are propping up the markets. A number of factors, including the institutional interest, macroeconomic trends, and the technology evolution, are providing a boost to the industry. The favorable macroeconomic trends are also propelling the growth of the digital asset industry. The U.S. Federal Reserve recently announced that it will keep the interest rates low until 2023, which is expected to result in an increase in the prices of riskier assets, including cryptocurrencies.
So Chainalysis does their like crypto adoption index, and they don't necessarily break it down by Bitcoin only, but they do their crypto adoption index, and they update it once in a while. And like 2 years ago, it was something like 19 out of 20 of the countries on their top 20 were emerging markets, and the latest one was 18 out of 20. And the United States was the one exception one year, and I think the latest one was the United States and United Kingdom. But basically, people in developing countries generally get this idea a lot more intuitively than a lot of people that don't have a monetary problem that's as much in their face, that basically have high banking rates, have less unstable currencies. And you don't always see it going to Bitcoin, though. You see it also going to stable coins, which kind of ties back into the prior thing that they often reach for what they know. Sometimes it's stable coins, sometimes it's Bitcoin. In Egypt, for example, yeah, overall crypto usage, including Bitcoin and stable coins, is still quite low despite their currency problems. Whereas ones where, and I think that's partially because if you have stepwise devaluations, you can kind of ignore it for a while and then it all happens at once. And you say, well, this happened. So, and you kind of go back to normal. Whereas if you're like in Argentina or Nigeria or Turkey, and it's kind of, it's like grinding year of year, they seem to gravitate towards it quicker. And so I'm not sure fully why some countries gravitate it more towards others, but essentially this shows straight up the utility reasons why so many people want a money that their local jurisdiction can't provide, whether it's dollars, whether it's Bitcoin, whatever it is, depending on the person, they do want something else besides what they have on offer locally.
According to the experts, the surge in Bitcoin price has made it an attractive option for those who are skeptical of traditional financial institutions. The Bitcoin system is a peer to peer network with no central authority that controls or regulates the Bitcoin system. The Bitcoin system was designed to be scalable and efficient. Transactions are fast and cheap. It could be used by anyone, anywhere in the world. You can see Bitcoin is taking different shapes in the market, which further allows the currency to come in a big way. With the help of Bitcoin, many businesses are now able to transact without the hassle of traditional banking. Bitcoin is also being used to help people in emerging countries access the global economy. Lyn Alden highlights that Bitcoin is viewed by many as a safe haven asset, and its decentralized nature makes it an attractive option for those skeptical of traditional financial institutions. According to her, the public wants something else rather than their local currency, and crypto fits the frame perfectly. Let's get into the next clip to hear more from Lyn Alden. Also, be sure to like and share.
All of us on this call, we have access to dollars. It's not really a problem for us. We can just do our normal day-to-day activities with dollars, and then we can save and use Bitcoin in however way we want, and we're fine with the volatility. But a common thing that comes up when you look at these small communities that are building out around the world, these little Bitcoin communities, a common thing that comes up is, hey, we need dollars too. And the ones that are doing it correctly, they acknowledge that their dollars are centralized. And the whole point is that the central hub is outside of their country. So, for example, let's say you're in Argentina, I've seen it described as someone says, okay, I hold local currency for 1 month's worth of expenses. I hold, stable coins for several months worth of kind of intermediate term savings. And if I want to put savings away for years, I put it into something like Bitcoin. And from the perspective of, say, an Argentinian, they've had a history of if you put dollars in the bank, they get confiscated. It's hard to get dollars. And so instead, what they do is say, okay, I'll hold dollars. They're centralized, but the central hub is outside of Argentina, right? So unless the United States goes after it, or unless there's fraud, there's counterparty risk, those are real risks to be concerned about. But the central hub is outside of that particular country. And so there is so far been a pretty strong demand for dollars by a number of people in emerging markets in these spaces. And basically the technology allows them to move around faster and in a more peer-to-peer way. And so far they've kind of shifted around to different blockchains. So obviously they started on top of Bitcoin. A lot of them migrated over to Ethereum. That's mostly used for trading, right? Because it's higher fees, bigger amounts. Whereas a lot of the spending dollars moved over to Tron. And basically a lot of these spaces say, okay, I want to have stable coins, but I don't really want like another token associated with it. I don't, if I'm using a centralized stable coin, I don't need a whole nother centralized layer to deal with. And there are different alternatives for how to do that. There's the Taro proposal, which is basically the idea of running them over using the edge liquidity of the Lightning Network to run them over. There's also, proposals like Pure Credit, which is basically using like a Lightning-like ledger that's not actually on Lightning to move around those dollars. And we'll see what kind of market things end up winning. But I think it's clear that there is a demand out there for dollars, at least as an intermediate term thing, because, not everybody can deal with, 70, 80% drawdowns on 100% of the money that they're using.
Bitcoin's long-term outlook remains positive, and Ether's increasing popularity as a platform for creating dApps is driving its growth. As the adoption of cryptocurrencies continues to increase, the future of the cryptocurrency market looks bright. Lyn also says that with the proliferation of businesses and merchants embracing Bitcoin as a viable payment option, the demand for cryptocurrency has experienced a marked increase, thereby propelling its value upwards. This would lead to more institutional investors putting money into the industry. When we talk about Bitcoin adoption, the next big question that arises in our mind is, what is the next big lightning push emerging from in the world? Well, let's see what Lyn has to say on this.
I think the fact that the Lightning Network is at such a high ratio of utility to speculation. And so when you kind of look at other parts of the crypto ecosystem, they're very speculation heavy. Even when you bring it back to the Bitcoin ecosystem, when you have things like fiat on-ramps and exchanges, they're still going to be somewhat speculation based, less so, some of it's saving, some of it's investing and speculating. But when you bring it all back to the Lightning Network, that's very, very utility focused. It's about payments, it's about infrastructure and things like that. And so I think that so far that the fact that it's been rather resilient is not that surprising. If you look back at, say, the 2008 crisis, for example, a lot of the companies that were growing that were later to become very big in the 2010s decade, a lot of them just kept growing from a small base through that difficult macro environment because it's the right product market fit. It's, people are buying things that are obviously better than what came before them. And I think we're seeing kind of similar things in some of the more utility focused aspects of the Bitcoin ecosystem, which certainly includes Lightning.
You can see Bitcoin is taking different shapes in the market, which further allows the currency to come in a big way. So, what do you guys think about the Bitcoin Lightning Network? What's your Bitcoin price prediction for 2023? Are you bullish on Bitcoin? Can we see another price high? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. You can also hit that bell icon to never miss any video. Also, be sure to like and share. I'll see you guys in my next video. Adios, and thanks for watching.